Let everybody in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Charter Chat. Next slide, please. As a reminder, this information is contained in this presentation is for reference only, even though there may be some attorneys on this call right now. Charter schools and chartering authorities are encouraged to review the laws and regulations and consult with their own legal counsel regarding the application to their own specific situations. Next slide. So I'm Michelle Johnson, and I am here with all of my colleagues. And today we are going to be sharing information with you we'll provide a legislative update. We'll give you some information about the ACCS and state board updates. We'll share some hot topics on this charter school certification of information, renewal preparation, local control accountability plan preparation, Williams review, and third interims. This session is being recorded. However, we will only be recording in the main room. Breakout rooms are not recorded. So as a reminder, please keep yourself muted. You may put questions in the chat, and there will be a Q&A at the end. Next slide. So again, I am Michelle Johnson. I'm the Associate Director for the Charter Schools Department of the Santa Clara County Office of Education. And I am joined with my colleagues from Santa Clara, Mifala Fairley, Matt Doherty, Shalu Sharma, and Cynthia Tapia. And next slide, we're also joined by Tom Hutton and Dr. David Patterson from the California Charter Authorizing Professionals, or CCAP. Next slide. And in fact, I'm going to turn it over to our other partner, CDE, and Allison Ball.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Happy to be joining you all today. I'm Allison Ball. I'm with the CDE's Public Charter Schools Grant Program Office. Our office manages the federal grant and all of the startup sub-grant application rounds, which you may have seen recently announced via our listserv. So CDE is launching our 24-25 PCSJP Startup Sub-Grant Request for Applications. That is for the planning, implementation, replication, and expansion of charter schools. And why are we advertising this at an authorizer event like CASI? Well, it's because all of our applicants, if they are planning schools, that's a school that has been approved for a charter petition through you as an authorizer. Implementation, they're a newly authorized school that's just starting up. Replication, meaning that they're new, but they're under a CMO or a nonprofit that manages multiple charter schools, or an expansion, any of our schools that are adding grade levels or greater than 25% of enrollment. All of those applicants will need to come to you as a charter school authorizer to notify you of their intent to apply for our funding. That is an opportunity also, for you all, in case there's any concerns with that charter school, to notify the CDE, or just to generally be aware that that funding may be awarded to that school. Those applications are live now, and they are due by the end of June. We are hosting a webinar for this funding stream. So if you're, as an authorizer, interested in learning more about the funding requirements, you're welcome to join us. That's tomorrow morning, and the registration link is there on the slide as well. But also, I'm here for a pitch, because we also depend on peer reviewers, voluntary peer reviewers. We're not able to offer a stipend or compensation. But we look for peer reviewers for all of our applications. And we try for each charter school applying for funding to have at least 2 reviewers on that application. One that is a charter school operator, somebody on the charter school side, but also another peer reviewer who is on the authorizing side, to have that balance in our application review. So if you are someone with that experience as a charter school authorizer who is willing to volunteer your time this summer, we'll be looking for applicants, and we'll be sending out application materials via the listserv in just later this week. So you'll be seeing more about the application process for peer reviewers in the future. So if you've got any questions, our information is included, and we'll drop some information in the chat as well. Thanks so much. Handing it back, I believe, over to Michelle.
All right, so next slide, please. Please rename yourself so that we know your name and your organization. This makes it easier for us as we're going into the breakout rooms so that everyone knows who each other is. So if you haven't already done so, please rename yourself with your name and your organization. And next slide, please. And I'm going to turn this over to Tom and Dave.
Okay,
Good
well,
morning.
oh, go ahead. You want to start, Dave?
Yes, I want to start because I
Okay.
want to say I've always wanted to be able to say, coming to you live from the California State Capitol. And so there are a number of bills that are up. The first slide shows any number. There's actually several bills up today. I'll start with AB 84, but also AB 1062 and 1493 are also going to be heard in Assembly Education today. There are other bills here that will also be are being heard. We're in the period of time where there's a deadline. I was the Judiciary Committee last night was meeting all day. I logged off at 9 p.m. last night as part of the work of that committee was to in fact pass SB 414 out of Judiciary. And with that, I'll pass it to Tom to follow up on possibly page 2.
Well, yeah. So then the one that Dave just mentioned, Senate Bill 414. That was Senate Judiciary. That one had already passed out of the Education Committee. But before we get to the Senate bills, just on this slide that shows the Assembly bills. We have just the sort of very generic descriptions that the legislature uses to say what they're about. AB 84, as many of you know, is the sort of omnibus charter bill with lots and lots of stuff in it, a very large measure, not just on fraud prevention and the sort of things that were the focus of the 3 state reports that came out last year, but a lot of other things that has, I think it's safe to say, engendered some controversy because it has, things that different interests want in our charter law, and so it's kind of carrying that stuff too. The Senate bill that Dave mentioned is an alternative that is sort of a little bit leaner, kind of more supported by the charter school community. Maybe doesn't have as many of the oversight things that authorizers are looking at that are in AB 84. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And then AB 1493, that's at the bottom. That's the verified data bill, and that it's sort of a narrower approach that just says, well, at least until we have the growth measure on the dashboard, we're going to continue with verified data. So this is if we go to the next slide, I'll just show the Senate bills. So there's a variety of things, and we've touched on these before in past charter chats, but that one in the middle, Senate Bill 414, is an alternative vehicle on things like fraud prevention and charter oversight that's moving along. And then the one on the bottom, Senate Bill 719, that's sort of a standalone bill that focuses just on the recommendations that came out in the report about the school audits. So those issues also are addressed in the other 2 bills. But there was also, I guess, a thought, well, if we introduce it as a standalone bill, just in case the others get bogged down, maybe this one could still move and we can get the audit stuff done. It doesn't have all the recommendations from the audits task force, so it's a little bit lighter on some of those than maybe had been anticipated, but that one is out there too. That's all.
And the only thing I would add is there is clearly conversation between the three main bills, 719 and 414 and AB 84, that they're all seem to be aware that they all need to get together at some point and actually have conversations. And I think that's a good sign that there's a willingness to work together to get a bill out that's focused and that represents a broad consensus. Back to you.
All right, next slide, please. So as a quick update, the Advisory Commission on Charter Schools meeting was held on April 8th, and they talked about non-classroom based funding determinations and also reviewed evidence from a notice of violation for Academia Avance in order to issue a notice of intent to revoke. That will then be heading off to the state board, which their meeting shall be held on May 7th. Next slide, please. So this is your last opportunity to do the annual authorizer survey. It is literally closing after today, after our charter chat. So if you have not responded to our annual survey, please click the button and add your information. This is what helps drive CASI for the coming year. We want to make sure that we are giving you what you need. So if you have not taken the time to fill out the survey, please respond. It is literally closing after the charter chat today. Next slide, please. And I will turn this now over to Matt for program.
Thank you. So our hot topics for program, beginning with the 2025-26 Charter School Certification of Information. It is that time of year. The California Department of Education Charter Schools Division is excited to announce the upcoming release of the 2025-26 Charter School Certification of Information. In the coming weeks, charter schools will certify their information that is on file with the CDE for the 2025-26 fiscal year through the Charter School Certification of Information, a web-based data collection that will be made available to all charter school administrators. The information will be reported and certified by charter schools and will be used to inform state policy, create reports for the U.S. Department of Education, support charter school authorization and oversight, and promote transparency of the state's public school system. Charter schools will have a 2-week window in May to report, review, and certify their information via the Charter School Certification of Information. Additional details regarding the certification will be provided by the CDE Charter Schools Division shortly. The Charter Schools Division recommends subscribing to the Charter Schools listserv to stay abreast of updates and details regarding the COI. Information about how to subscribe can be found in the CDE Charter Schools listserv. Questions may be directed to the CSD by email at charters@cde.ca.gov. Next up is renewal preparation. The CASI preparation on the road to renewals was on April 11th, 2025. If you have not started reviewing your process and procedures for the upcoming renewal season, there will be materials and I think a recording for the road to renewal presentation available on the CDE CASI website shortly. So check back there in order to help get prepared for renewal season. We're smack dab in the middle of LCAP preparation. LCAPs are to be updated annually and approved by the Charters Board. At this point, they should be finalizing their stakeholder feedback as well as finalizing budget and getting ready for their May board meetings, preparing the materials for their May board meetings. So just double check with your charters to make sure that they are on track to update their LCAP, get it approved by their board and submitted to you, the authorizer, and the county office by June 30th. And finally, the new Williams Settlement Review List is out. Schools who have been identified as CSI, ATSI, or having over 15% of staff not appropriately credentialed will be up for visits in the fall of 2025. So just to put that on your radar, double check if any of your charters have made it to the Williams list this year. And with that, I will throw it over to our fiscal team for fiscal hot topics.
There's actually a question. Sorry, Shalou. Is there an updated LCAP checklist for the charter LCAP reviews? We don't know at this moment yet, but I'm sure that there is one.
There is. It is available, and actually, our CIA, our Continuous Improvement Accountability Department, is a great resource for all of these things. They're planning on presenting it at their next Assessment Accountability State and Federal meeting, I believe, next Thursday afternoon.
I think it's today, Matt.
Oh, is it today? Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's available. I was just looking at their folder, and they have the new charter school, or they're not charter school, LCAP in general checklist available from, I believe it's county superintendents.
Yes. Alrighty, with that, we just wanted to share about third interim. This was a question that was asked through CASI, so we thought we'll just share that with the broader audience. So the charter school that received a qualified or a negative certification on their second interim report may be asked to submit the third interim report. While this is not a mandate under education code, however, the chartering authority has the discretion to request it as part of its fiscal oversight responsibilities. The third interim report covers the financial data through April 30th and must be submitted by June 1st. This additional reporting allows the authorizer to reassess the school's financial positions before the end of the fiscal year and determine if the school will be fiscally solvent for the current and then upcoming subsequent to fiscal years. Next slide, please. I'll hand it back to Michelle.
All right, so we are now going to go into breakout rooms, and we'll have a bunch of time for us to answer questions. And Scott, I put the wrong link in there. I'll get the right link in a few moments. So let's move into breakout rooms. And thank you. For the facilitators, please jump in and add your information. Thanks, Cynthia.
Okay, opening all the rooms.
It now looks like we have everybody back. So let's do a quick share out of what happened in the rooms. So I will start because we had room one. We talked about AB 84, audit reviews, finishing up site visits, and a question was asked about the growth metric that just dropped on the CDE dashboard. The state board will be, it's for information purposes only, right, Kimberly? That's, I'm just making sure everyone hears this. State board will be taking action in July, and we actually added in some information from the state board memo from April. The state board meeting in May will be having a talking about it, and there's information on the dashboard itself. So room two, what did you have?
So first of all, we welcomed a new authorizer. She's new to authorizing, and she's from Trinity County. Kayla, I think it's Kayla, or could have been Kyla. I'm sorry, Kyla, for mispronouncing your name. We also talked about renewals. There was a DOS school that was authorized for a 2-year term. And there was another thing. We talked about a school in a high performing category that was non-renewed, or conditionally renewed, I guess, if it would fill out or not fill out, if it would enter into a MOU with the authorizer. Talked about schools wanting to stack terms and making sure that, well, not making sure, but having provisions in your MOU that indicate when a school might be renewed, how early a school might be renewed in that final year.
Awesome. All right, room three.
Was I 3? I don't remember what number it was. If we were 3, yeah, we had a lot of questions on the Williams schools and the Williams list. If what sites were being visited, if you had schools with sites in contiguous counties and outside the county. We discussed the role of the district authorizer and its interaction with the county, as well as how that role might differ depending on dependent versus independent charters, Prop 39, co-located properties and facilities. Then moved into a little bit about facilities, the difference between sort of Prop 39 versus alternative agreements, and when you need to review or look at MOUs versus Prop 39 agreement and facilities use agreements. And then we also talked about some of the legislature and specifically some of that the proposed legislation for Williams and the shortened timelines for large counties.
Thanks, Indra. Room 4.
Yeah, we had two relatively robust discussions in room 4. First being about the metrics for DOS schools, specifically negotiating the rigor of those metrics when the two parties don't agree on what is rigorous enough, the authorizer versus the school. And just had some brainstorming around what types of metrics would be appropriate or, would give an honest picture of that DAS school's performance, especially depending on population. And then our second conversation was around how authorizers are going to use verified data. Should it be allowed to sunset, particularly in regard to low tier schools, and talking about is there some way that authorizers can sort of get on the same page about how we look at verified data if it's no longer required to do so. Similarly, getting on the same page when it comes to those low tier performance improvement plans. Those were our conversations.
Great. All right, room 6.
So for our non-authorizer partners, we also talked about AB 84 and other legislation. Also noting that today is the day that the oral arguments have just happened in the U.S. Supreme Court about the proposition of religious charter schools being an issue out there looming over the sector. We talked about, Zach mentioned, May revise is coming up. COLA just got lowered again. So, watching on the fiscal side and adding that authorizers may be wanting to, communicate with their schools about what kind of reserves they're looking at, given that we're headed into, a funding downturn. There was a question about, what's going on, kind of the large landscape on renewals. And so it was another opportunity for us to refer people back to the quarterly training that CASI just had. And again, the recording and resources will be posted on that and on the CASI website. And that's a really good reference point for seeing what the latest is on renewals.
All right. Well, thank you so much for everyone. Next slide, please. We do love feedback. And so we are now giving you the link to this meeting's survey. Please let us know how we did with this meeting. I know we didn't have an awful lot of information. We're hoping that we were able to spend a lot of time in the breakout room so you could get your questions answered. Next slide, please. Tom, you want to talk about upcoming events?
Yeah, well, we'll be back here, same bat time, same bat channel next month on CASI events for our charter chat. And the quarterly training will be coming up in July, TBD. So stay tuned for announcements on that. Next slide. We have, there's a mini conference that CCSA is putting on in the Oakland area, and CASI will be part of that. Can you remind me, Michelle, what our topic is as CASI as part of that conversation?
So we are talking to charter schools about their board and their connection to their authorizers and what authorizers should expect from charter school boards.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have the CCAP conference coming up June 16th to 18th as well. We might have another slide on that, so we might be listing it twice here, but oh yeah, there we go. So we've got the CCAP conference coming up. CASI will be doing its traditional pre-conference on Authorizing 101. It's a full day thing. We've done it every year. Some people have taken it more than once, and that's perfectly fine. This year, based on attendee feedback, we are going to make it a little bit more participatory than, the premise in the past was if you only want to come to the pre-conference, you can come away with having a lot of great information. And that's still the case, but that necessitated it being more sit and get than is easy to do for such a long thing. So this year we're sort of conceding to the reality that very few people only ever came to the pre-conference and then left. So we're just saying it really is going to be more participatory, more hands-on. It will be introductory, but kind of with an eye to if you're new to this work, like Kyla, don't know. If you're new to the work, this is a way that if you go to the pre-conference, then any deeper dive session in the rest of the conference that is more oriented toward veteran authorizers, nothing will go over your head because you'll have had the orientation of the pre-conference. So that's a big CASI thing, and we look forward to seeing you in Palm Springs if you can make it. Next slide.
So then the last thing is if you are looking for Authorizing 101, Fiscal 101, or the topic of your choice, CASI can bring this training to you via Zoom or on site if you need additional support. So please reach out to cassie@cde.ca.gov and we can get you what you need. I will say that I've discovered lots of people in the last little while who are calling as phone a friends. So we're here to support you and provide information. And if you have not filled out our survey, please fill out our survey. And last slide, if you have any questions, please contact us. And we're giving you the gift of time. If you haven't had the gift of time in a little while, well, you just got yourself 10 minutes. So go take a walk around the block, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy, and the LCAP checklist link is already on the chat. So scroll back through the chat and Cynthia added it to you. Oh, thank you again, Cynthia. There you go. Have a wonderful rest of your day.